أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Respected viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Asif Ali Parvez and this is my presentation number 27. And as always, the theme of my presentation is Holy Quran and science. Now today I will talk about the darkness number 4 and its name is ultraviolet light. Ultraviolet light. So first of all, I want to turn towards Holy Quran. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Alhamdulillahillazi khalaqas samawati wal arda wa ja'ala as-zulumati wan nur. And its translation is, all praise belongs to Allah, who created the heavens and the earth and brought into being every kind of darkness and light. Surah Al-An'am, verse number 2. So what are the key points? All praise belongs to Allah, who has created heavens, earth, every kind of darkness and light. Now I have shown you this light spectrum before as well. So today I'm talking about the darkness which is number 4. So it is on my left hand side of the visible. Now what is ultraviolet light? There are 3 types of ultraviolet light and they are normally called as UV light. So I may be using this phrase. UV stands for ultraviolet. There is ultraviolet light type A, and that is 95% it comes to the earth. And the second ultraviolet light is called type B, and only 5%, only just 5% comes to this earth. And there is ultraviolet light C, which is very, very dangerous, and only very tiny amount comes to the earth. So what happens? So let's talk about type A of ultraviolet light. Now its frequency range is very high, 8 times 10 to the power 14. So 10 to the power 14 means you write 1 and you write 14 zeros. It's very difficult even to read what the number will be. And between this and 3 times 10 to the power 16. So it's much more energetic than the ordinary light. And when this falls on our skin, we absorb it. And that is what gives us tanning of our skin. So the color, changes from, say, very light color to a bit of brown color. So that is because of this ultraviolet light. And it can cause wrinkles as well. So some people have dubbed it as the name of aging light, that it makes you old. And it goes deep into the skin. And if you are exposed too much to the ultraviolet light, there is a chance that one could get cancer as well. But having said that, whatever Allah Ta'ala has created has always got some benefits. So the doctors and the scientists say that if you sit in the sun, for a while, maybe an hour or half an hour or whatever, and depends on the strength of the sun, it produces vitamin D, which is very, very important for our body. So how vitamin D is produced? When the ultraviolet A type, remember it's A type, hits the cholesterol in our skin, it converts into vitamin D. What a wonderful mechanism which God has created. And that's why it is called as sunshine vitamin. So countries like UK, where I live, because we don't get that much sunshine except in summer, so sometimes doctor gives you supplement of vitamin D. On the other hand, when it's sunny day, a doctor do advise that sit in the sun, but be careful, not too much of ultraviolet. As I said, is not so good. Now, what the vitamin do, it is absorbed in the calcium and phosphorus, and these are the two elements which are with which bones are made. So this vitamin D makes our bones very healthy, and it's good for joints because it helps the joint, and that's why doctor advise, take the advantage of God's gift. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. As long as you don't sit too much in the sun, you will get plenty of vitamin D. Now, different people have different colors. So where this color comes from? Like European people, they have a very light color, white color, you can say. We, the Asians, have a little bit darker color, and the Africans have more dark. So this is produced by a pigment whose name is melanin. That is the name which doctors have given. And this is the one which is responsible of our colors. So people with darker skin, they have a more melanin. But there's a good advantage of it. Those people who have dark skins, they are naturally protected from the ultraviolet light. So they don't need to have wear, the sun creams or that kind of stuff. However, because as the golden rule is good absorber, good radiators, and dark skin absorb quickly and radiates as well. So people with dark skin may have to sit a little bit longer in the sun, maybe an hour or two. I'm talking of UK, England here. However, the light skinned people, like the local English people, they probably need to sit much longer. So they must wear, the sunscreens which are available. Otherwise, they could get, the skin could burn. Now, type B is much stronger. Remember, as I said before, or I repeat it again, that all ultraviolet light, the main source is sun. So A, B, and C, all three types comes from sun. So type B is much more dangerous. And if you are exposed to it for a long time, it could give you sunburns. So that's why it's dubbed as burning rays, and they could cause skin cancer. And the type C are extremely dangerous. But God, our gracious God, have put a protection. And God had put ozone layer in the atmosphere. Let me explain to you what ozone layer is. Oxygen. Oxygen, and those who have studied chemistry, normally we say O and then we say 2. So O2 means oxygen. But ozone, you can call it as a bigger sister of oxygen. So instead of O2, it has 3 atoms. So that's why it's called as O3. Now, how we produce it? Actually, we don't produce it. Our gracious God has produced this for us. So when the heat and the sunlight comes from the sun, it reacts on 2 chemicals. One is called nitrogen oxide and the other is hydrocarbons. So when it reacts with these 2 chemicals, it produces ozone. And as I said, it makes an ozone layer, and its scientist name is stratosphere. And 90% of ozone is in the stratosphere, which is up above, above the earth, many, many miles away. Inshallah, at some point, I shall be making program of all those protection layers which God has created above the earth. And if those protection layers were not there, our survival would have been very, very difficult. So, ozone layer, it saves us from the particularly type C of ultraviolet, which I said, which I said is very, very dangerous. So ozone is a great blessing from God, and as I said, it is God who has created it. However, it was observed then in only last year, they observed that the Antarctica, where all the ice is there and hardly any people live there, it has got a very big hole. And the size of that hole was 24.8 million square kilometers. Huge hole by any standard. But the good thing is it happened on where hardly anybody lives except few scientists who are doing the experiments. and this was observed as one of the largest and the deepest zone. And it is created by the atmospheric and chemical conditions. So we we human beings don't play a big part in it, although I will mention that at one point, or I mentioned now, at one point, there was a chemicals called CFCs, which was used like hairspray or in fridges. And those chemicals went up in the air, and they have made holes in the ozone layer here and there. So in 1995, a protocol was agreed, no more CFC produced. So since then, these chemicals are not produced anymore. Now, going back to Antarctica, because I said it's a natural process by which hole is created. So scientists have worked out that in 20 years' time, that hole will be naturally recovered. A good thing is there is no more hole anywhere on this earth, which means where most of the human people live, in Asia, Africa, Europe, Australia, America. There are no holes, which means we are protected from ultraviolet light. Now, ultraviolet light is good for fruit trees as well. It's not only good for human bodies, as I said, it produces vitamin D. Ultraviolet lights boost a process which we call as photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is a process with which plants extract nutrients from the carbon dioxide, because their food is carbon dioxide and water. We produce our food in that sense. We breathe air, which means we breathe oxygen. And when we breathe oxygen, we inhale outside carbon dioxide. So what is not good for us is good for the plants. So plants extract their nutrients from that, and the ultraviolet light, type A again I must say, that increase these nutrients, and result is fruits gets better and tastier. This picture which I'm showing you actually is from my own garden. This is a pear tree. It's a small tree, but a lot of pears have been taken out. But when it is full, they appear everywhere. And I have put it in a very sunny sort of area because I know these plants like light, which means ultraviolet light, A-type light. Now, ultraviolet light have another property that it kills germs and it kills bacteria. Now, a lot of research is going on, and there is no conclusive evidence yet that does it kill COVID-19 virus as well? Scientists are still researching on it, and who knows, because if they could find a suitable dose of ultraviolet, that may be able to kill COVID-19, which today, this is year 2021, and 2020 was a very bad year for the whole world because literally millions of people died and the whole world virtually stopped. Even today, which is 6th of February 2021 in England, UK, we are in lockdown situation. So if somebody is watching this video in 100 years time, they will realize through what sort of harsh period we have gone through. But anyway, going back to ultraviolet light, because it can kill bacteria and germs, so it is used as a disinfection. It's used in hospitals, in gyms, in cafeteria, and even now they are using it at the airport. So where a lot of people gather, they use it. And I'm showing you one picture here, which is like an ultraviolet light hanging from the ceiling. But there are now robots are made which carry ultraviolet, light in it, and it's quite strength. So the people who are using it let it go in a room, lock the door, and remotely control it. So the robot moves all over the place, and in 10-15 minutes it disinfects the whole room. In fact, I've seen pictures where they have now designed these devices which can disinfect aeroplanes as well. So it has a very powerful use as well. Now, food and drug companies use ultraviolet to sterilize food products, and these are completely safe. So don't worry if they say ultraviolet light has been used in it to sterilize it. It's safe. You can eat it without any worries, and it's low maintenance. And even you can sensitize your mobile phone. So this is a little device they have designed. This is the ultraviolet tube light. So you put your mobile in, shut the lid, and let it run for 10-15 minutes, and all the germs which it has accumulated. Particularly, as I said, we are going through COVID-19 scenario, pandemic. So we are trying to be extra vigilant, extra careful that we kill the bacteria and these viruses. Now, it's another proper use is in the chemical industries. So ultraviolet light has when you shine the ultraviolet light on some chemicals, there is a device called spectrophotometer. Using that device, scientists can work out what kind of chemicals are there, what's their strength, and how they are distributed. And obviously, they can take appropriate action. And it is also used, when the water is cleaned. So ultraviolet light they shine the ultraviolet light on it, and it gives colors of different chemicals. So from those chemicals, the scientists working in the plants cleaning the water can work out which chemical is there, what chemical needs more, and this and that. So ultraviolet light has a lot of benefits. Now, one of its biggest benefit, that's my phrase, I mean all benefits are big, but is in the ultraviolet telescopes. Stars, sun, and all other celestial bodies, they emit lots of high energy rays. And in my future program, I will be talking, for example, about X-rays and then gamma rays. Now, as I said, God is very gracious to us. Most of these rays are absorbed in the atmosphere, which means, for example, in ultraviolet light, we are very much interested in the ultraviolet C type, because that's the most energetic. But it is absorbed by ozone layer, so we don't get any idea what it is, what structure is, what strength is, and whatever. So telescopes are designed, and one of the most famous telescope, you must have heard its name, is called Hubble telescope. Hubble was a great scientist, American scientist, who first of all put this idea that universe is expanding. And at some point I probably will make a program about it, although I have in my previous program have mentioned the expansion of the universe. So Hubble telescope was launched in 1990, so nearly 30 years ago, and still working up there. And it is primarily an ultraviolet telescope, although it can do X-rays as well, perhaps gamma rays as well. But one of the focus is on the ultraviolet rays, because, as I said, ultraviolets are absorbed by the ozone layer. So it has made a lot of discoveries. One of the discovery we called it exoplanet. So what does exoplanet mean? In other terms, it's normally called as hot Jupiter. Now Jupiter, which is one of the planet in our solar system, that's a very, very cold planet. Its temperature is minus 234 degrees Fahrenheit. It's all made up of gas. But interestingly, scientists have discovered that there are Jupiter-type planets in the universe, in our galaxy. But they are very, very hot. So the temperature is 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit. That's even higher than the temperature of the sun's surface. So scientists have discovered a lot of planets. Hot Jupiter is the phrase which is used to describe them. Also, ultraviolet have discovered images of galaxies. So it has discovered some galaxies. Here is an image of a galaxy. It's a spiral galaxy, like a galaxy, our galaxy, Milky Way. And its name is Messier 81. And it is 11.74 million light years. Just think about how far it is. And light year is, and I've explained in one of my previous programs, the light travels in 1 year. And speed of light is 186,000 miles per second. So you can guess It's a huge number by any standard. And no way we could have seen this galaxy except through the ultraviolet light. Now, what happens is when this ultraviolet image come and they analyze this image through spectrometer, they can do work scientists over a lot of things. For example, what's the thickness of this galaxy? What's its density? What's its temperature like? And are there stars? Are there exoplanets? So I can say ultraviolet telescope is an eye to look into the universe. Not with the human eye, because we can't say it with human. So we use this ultraviolet telescope. And as I said, Hubble is a great example of this. Now in my next program, I will talk about darkness number 5, and it is X-rays. You must have heard the name X-rays. You might have gone to hospital and the X-ray have been taken. So I will explain in great detail how it was discovered and what are its uses. Thank you very much for listening to me. Jazakallah khair. God bless you. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.